All right. Good morning, everybody. Today is Daf Chav Gimel, Maseches Megillah, third parak. There you go. So we got to the top line. We were discussing different halachas, the amount of readers that are called up on days we lane. So he said, "B'yom tov chamisha, Yom Kippurim sheisha, Shabbos shiva." Right, so let's quote from the Mishnah. So we were quoting on Yantif, we called 5 people, Yom Kippur 6, and Shabbos 7. So that was a quote from the Mishnah. We are the second line at the top, and away we go.
Yes.
Masnis and Mani. Who is the author of our Mishnah? Lo Rabbi Yishmael, Chav Gimel Aman Aleph, Lo Rabbi Kiva, and not the opinion of Rabbi Kiva. The Tanya, why we learn in the Brayso, it says Yom Tov Chamisha, Yom Kippur and Shisha v'Shabbos Shiva. Says Rabbi Shmuel, the numbers are 5, 6, 7, respectively, Yantif, Yom Kippur, and Shabbos, and you don't call up less, and you don't call up more. Now, if you recall, yesterday when we had this Mishnah, or 2 days ago, I think we read it yesterday. Let's see if I can find it. We read the Mishnah. The Mishnah actually said you could add. You could have more people, Musafin, right? You could add people to it. Oh, this is the one from the beginning of the Mishnah, right? So it says over there, it says, Ein Pais Command about Mosifin Alam. You can add to it. So in this, Rabbi Shmuel says you cannot add. Ein Mosifin Alam. Rabbi Kiva Rabbi Yantav Chamisha, Yom Kippurim Shiva, Shabbos Shisha. And he says on Yantav is 5, Yom Kippur is 7, Shabbos is 6, which is different than our Mishnah. And him he says you can't do less, but you can do more. So Mani, whose opinion is our Mishnah? Rabbi Shmuel, Kasha Teseves. If it's Rabbi Shmuel, then it's a contradiction in terms of our Mishnah says you're allowed to add, and the Rabbi Shmuel over here says you can't add people. And Rabbi Kiva, and it's Rabbi Kiva, Kasha Shisha v'Shiva. Then it's the Kasha of 6 and 7 should be switched around. So Marava Tani the Rabbi Shmuel, you know, this is the shita of that which is taught in the yeshiva Rabbi Shmuel. He the Tani the Rabbi Shmuel b'yom tov chamisha v'yom kippurim shisha v'shavas shiva ein pais k'me'anav v'masivin alam divi Rabbi Shmuel. So over there that he taught the favorites, it says over there 5, 6, 7 when it comes to a Yantif, Yom Kippur, then Shabbos, and you can't have any less, and you can't have more, and that was explicitly said in the opinion of Rabbi Shmuel, which would be like our Mishnah. So I kashi the Rabbi Shmuel the Rishonos. That's the case. Is a contradiction. Rabbi Shmuel. One Rabbi Shmuel says you can add, and the other says you can't add. One says you can add, one says you cannot add. Right? Don't confuse Rabbi Kiva. So our answer is trade Tanai Aliba the Rabbi Shmuel. 2 different Tanaim Aliba the Rabbi Shmuel. Now, they're really Rabbi Shmuel taught one, and there was confusion as to what exactly he taught when it came to whether you're allowed to add aliyahs and call up extra people. Matana. So who was the author who taught this? The Tanya we learn in Brayso b'yom tov ma'acharin lovo ma'amrin lotzis. And Yantif, right? You delay coming to shul. You're preparing. You're finished cooking your Shabbat, your Yantif meals on Yantif, so it's late. And you're quick to leave, right? You're quick to leave because you got to go eat your suda. B'yom Kippurim on Yom Kippur, when you don't need to go ahead and cook anything. There's no food. There's no meal preparations. Maharin lavo, then you can go, right? Shul should start early. Let's say, so then you delay it, right? We'll soon see why you delay it. You leave shul late. With Shabbos and Shabbos, you come early because you can't cook on Shabbos, right? Let's say, and then you quick to leave because you have to go ahead and eat your meal. So Lema Rabbi Kiva, Dislay Gavri Sarah. Let's say it's Rabbi Kiva because it says by Yom Kippurim we delay leaving. What do you mean delay leaving? Why is it long? It's long because you have an extra aliyah. So let's say it's been Rabbi Kiva who holds that. We saw earlier, said Yom Kippur, there's 7 people called up, not 6. So no, I feel the time Rabbi Shmuel, the Nafish Sidura, no, there's extra people called up. There's a lot of extra tefillos. There's, that we say, the most of us long in Yom Kippur. So it's not just, the one aliyah, which adds to it. It's everything else that adds to the length of Yom Kippur. Fine. We are the first wide line. So Hani, Shloisha, Chamisha, the Shiva, Keneged me. 3, 5, 7. Now we didn't say 4, so what about 6, right? So we don't mention over here 4, but l'chayr, because we already explained why 4 is, because 4 is just it has musaf. So since it has musaf, we add an extra person. Yom Kippurim we'll address in a minute. But now 357 Keneged me. So Piggy Ba, Rav Yitzchak, Mar Nachmani Chadime. Was the machlos between Rabbi Yitzchak Bar Nachmani and somebody who was, and one who was with him, Umanu who was there, Rabbi Shimon ben Pazi, Rabbi Shimon ben Pazi. Some say it was Rabbi Shimon ben Pazi v'chadime, one who was with him, Umanu who was there, Rabbi Yitzchak Bar Nachmani. Rather than somebody, the third version says Rabbi Shmuel Bar Nachmani. Some say the third person was Rabbi Shmuel Bar Nachmani, or the other person was Rabbi Shmuel Bar Nachmani. Now, Chad Omar Keneged Birchas Kohanim. Right, very simple. Birchas Kohanim, the Pesukim Birchas Kohanim. Right, the first pasuk Yivrach Hashem. Right, is 3 Pesukim. 5 Pesukim, 7, 3, 5, 7. Very nice, beautiful. Chad Omar Keneged Shalosh Shomi Asaf Chamisha Marei Pnei Hamelech Shiva Marei Pnei Hamelech. Different scenarios, right? Certain cases where they're mentioned those who are around the king, right? Rashi over here addresses it. Right, it says Chamisha Marei Pnei Hamelech, which is in the middle of the Rashi's, right? Shiva Marei Pnei Hamelech says Shiva Haim. The pasuk says over there the 7 ones that are with the king, his advisors. We find in Megillas Esther, Shivas Paras Umadai, right? The 7 officers who were from Paras Umadai, Mehem, Yesh Chamisha, and of them, the Yesh Chamisha, Chashuvim, 5 important, Kedechsiv, B'Seif Malachim, it says in the end of Malachim, and Shleisha, Shomei Asaf, and there were also 3 people, Shomei Asaf, also, who guarded, close to the king, and that was found B'Sof Sefer Malachim. And connected them, the 357, the 3 officers, the 57, we were misaked, the amount of people called up. And Tani.
Wait, I didn't follow. Where were the 3 and the 5 cited?
Yeah, the first, the 3, 5 and said the last other 7 I think was from Megillas Esther, I believe. Right? And the other ones are from Malachim. Right.
What are those?
The
Pesukim I actually brought the note. Shleishish Shomrei Asaf, Malachim Chafei Yudches, and then the other 7. It says of there. The other 5. Excuse me. Malachim Beis, yeah, over there. Okay, yeah. Because right. Yeah. Fine. And Tani Rav Yosef Gimel Chamisha v'Shiva 357 Shleish Shomei Asav, exactly what you said. Chamisha Merei Pnei Hamelech and Shiva Merei Pnei Hamelech, right? So the Pesukim they learn how those who are around the king, right? The 3, right, that were around, the close to the king, the 5, and then the 7 who were also, sitting with the king. Amar le Abaye Adaina my time lo Pirush Laman, right? How come you never told us this until now? Amar le Lo Havia Dina the Zichusale. I had no idea you wanted to know this. Did you ever ask me something I didn't answer you? So don't bring your claims against me that I didn't teach this to you. You never asked me. So Amarle Yaakov Minal Rav Yehuda Hani Shisha Yom Kippurim. We left out the 6 Yom Kippurim. Connected me. What are those connected? Amarle connected Shisha Shianda V'Minim Ezra. The 6 that were standing to the right of Ezra. The Shisha Mismal on 6 on the left. Shinamar the pasuk says Vayamod Ezra Hasefer Al Migdal Eitz. He was standing by the wooden tower. Asher Asu. The Dover Vayamod Etzlo Matisya, the Shama, Va'anya, Va'uria, V'chilkia, V'masya. Right. So Al Yamino, those 6 were on his right. Umismalo on his left was Pedia, Misham, Malachia, V'chashum, V'cheshbana, Zechariah, Meshulam. 7 words. So Gemara says Hani Shiva. It's 7. So Gemara answers no. Hani Zechariah, Hani Meshulam. Right? The Zechariah and Meshulam is the same person. So the last 6 and 7 is actually one person. B'mai it really was Zechariah. B'mai Karli Meshulam. Why was he also? Why they had the name Meshulam? The Mishlei Ba'ovdei. Right? He was complete in his actions. Right? In his ma'asim. Right? He was his worship was whole. Tana Rabbanan. Hakol Olil Leminyan Shiva V'afilu Katan V'afilu Isha. Right? Maybe we can get this together. Everyone can get called up to the Torah for count towards the 7, even a cotton, right? One is the Gila Chinuch, and even a woman.
Beautiful.
A woman, but the Chacham say a woman should not be called up. Why? Because covered tzibur.
Right? Working on this part.
Because the covered tzibur, right? In other words, what the covered is that it appears that there's no men who are able to read, so we have to call up a woman. So therefore, covered tzibur, we just call up the men.
No. So wait. Reading or aliyah?
They used to be they get called up. The one who was called up read. Right. It used to be.
Or yeah. Right.
We were all
The thing is.
we were all
is
Ozzy
that-
Feifels.
Oh, five.
Yeah, they called up and read. Right?
It's like in the synagogue,
Iboilu.
nobody knows anything. So if a woman knows it.
Iboilu. Maftir. Mahu shiyadlo min shiva. What about maftir? Is maftir? Is it 6 plus 1? Because we did mention that there is one that was the haftarah. So is that part of the 7 or not? So Rav Huna bar Yirmiyah bar Abba, Chad Omar Oila. One says it's part of the 7. Chad Omar Ein Oila. One says no, it's an additional one. It's 7 plus 1. So Mad Omar Oila. The one that says it counts because this person Lamaisa gets called. It reads from Torah first before he reads from the reads from the Vim. Mad Omar Ein Oila. Kedula. One says like Ula is like Ula. The Omar Ula. You pray Ma Hamaftir Ben Navi Tzich Shik Rebbe Torah. What's the reason why the one who's Maftir Ben Navi first has to get called on the Torah? Tchila, but first why? You pray cover the Torah because of cover the Torah. Right, because of that, that he's not just called it for the Navi, right? And that was the same thing. So now, you either get called it for the Navi or for the Torah. So we see, no, everyone gets called it for the Torah. That's the Marchash. But then you can also read from the Navi afterwards. The cave no Shem covered Torah who the minyan Eloisai, and therefore, since he's only getting called up for the purpose of Torah, right? For covered Torah, he's not getting called up because we need another person. He's getting called up because of covered Torah. Therefore, that's the reason why it doesn't count towards the 7, and therefore it's 7 plus 1, not 6 plus 1, which is a total of 7. One who gets called up for the Navi when you go ahead and read the Haftarah. A person should not read less than 21 psukim. Why? Can I get Shiva Shekara B'Torah? Because we have a minimum of 21 psukim when we read from the parsha. In other words, 7 times 3. Now it's 7 times 3. If we include it, it should be we read 24 psukim, not 21. So going to answer no. Since the only reason why the 8th person is called up, the 7 plus 1, is for the purpose of Kavod Torah, right? Therefore, right? Therefore, therefore we don't need to read an extra 3 psukim. But Alan's wondering, says, there's several. Oh, it's long, right? Yeah. I mean, there's several that are short.
There's enough Torahs that are less.
So the Gemara is going to answer. Many.
There are no partials that are just 21.
No, it's at least 21. So guys, so let's see. Maskeva Rava Bahare. So, all right, so the pasuk over there. In the beginning of Yirmiyah, it says, "Kol Hashem tzadok Elisa Olosechem Safu Al Zivkechem." So I have it as Yirmiyah. It's not 21. Here's an example. It's not 21. The Karina, and we read it. So we read less than 21. What are you talking about? 21. We find there's less. The Shani Asam, the Salik in Yana over there. Because as it reads, the paragraph reads that which we want to read, and the entire subject is less than 21 psukim. So what we want us to do, we're not going to bring in other subjects. So therefore, since it's the complete subject, 15 psukim or whatever it is. Actually, I can look it up right here. I'm sure it does it, right? It says right. This is the haftarah from Sav. Is 17 psukim. It's only 17 psukim. So therefore, we stop there. And what? Where the matter doesn't end, we don't separately. Before Rabbi Yechon, he read Psukim. Right? He says, okay, we heard enough. You can stop now, right? So he said, after 10 Psukim, where's the 21 there? And it was in the middle of the subject. So my answer is no. If there's a Turgman, if there's an interpreter, then it's different because then he explains the matter. Therefore, you don't need the full 20 psukim. The Tanya Rav Techliva Bar Shmuel Shana Lumakam Shein Turgman. The only time when we need 20 psukim is there is no interpreter. About Malkam Shein Turgman Paisim. But if there is a interpreter, then we do. You can stop the person even before 20 psukim.
So Haftarah is less than 21.
Right. So this one over there was from Tzav. It says it was 17 psukim. So if it was the subject, then you can stop. No issue. So since it just
it's a partial.
Yeah.
What is the connection between the Turgaman and the...
So my other understanding would be since someone's explaining it, right? Sheyesh Torach L'tzibur, right? So there's Tircha. Once you have someone read Psukim and a Turgaman, so it's already
Turgaman, you go through.
right. So you can do fewer.
But we don't know about it.
Right, because we don't have a Turgaman now, and we still do less. So it must be because the subject matter is over. In other words, if the subject matter were to continue, then we would do at least 21 Psukim. But since yeah,
I
fine.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm not sure.
All right, now you must know. Mishnah, Chav Gimel Beis, Ein Porsin Al Shema. Now we're going to have a list of items. We're going to list a bunch of items that you cannot do with less than 10 people. You cannot do with less than 10 people. First one is Ein Porsin Al Shema. We can't go ahead and do Poris Al Shema, right? Poris means to sort of divide, right? The Rashi explains over here, there was a minion that came to the basic Knesset after everyone already davened. So someone can get up, right? He gets up there, he says Kaddish, he says Baruch Hu, and he says the two brachas Kriyashma, and then it's a Kriyashma. That's called Porsin. So you can't do Porsin Shema unless you have a minion. And there is no Shlech Tzibur, and there is no Duchening, we don't read from the Torah, and we don't do Haftarah. And we don't with mourners, we don't have them as they're walking. We tell them to stand up and sit down, as assumed to the Gemara. We don't say Birchas Avelim, which is basically the Gemara will explain, which is the public display of blessings to the mourners. And then they have the different shuros, the lines of the mourners walk through after the burial. Birchas Chasanim, and as we call them, the Shev Brachos, right? The Birchas Chasanim. They mizamnim b'shem, and also pachas miasar. We also don't say when we have a mezumin. We don't say nevarach elokenu. We don't say. I said that, right? So I said we don't do a zimun with the shame, right? Which we call it with the minion, right? Pachas miasar, with less than 10 people. Uvagarkos. And when one wants to go ahead and redeem land of hektish, right, to go ahead and redeem it, he needs 10 people, Tisha v'Kohen. He needs 9 and plus a Kohen. So he needs 10, and one of the 10 is a Kohen. The Adam Kiyetz Behen, and a man, sale of a person, opinion of a man, as assumed to the Gemara, is similar to that process of land. Let's see. Zot the Gemara. So Manohani Mili. So we start off, we need a minion. So where do you need this minion for Teva, personal Shema, Nisik Pam, current Torah? So the passage says, I will be sanctified right amongst B'Soich B'nai Yisrael and called Darash Kedusha. So we learn from over here that anything, I will soon see explain, anything that's Kedusha and Iskashi, I'll be sanctified. So anything of sanctity, anything of Kedusha should be 10 people. My Masha. Where do you get that from the pasuk, right? My Masha. So the time we learn a Gzer Shava Teichtov. Ksivach, it says over here, it's actually B'Soich B'nai Yisrael. It says the word of B'Soich B'nai Yisrael. Ksiv Hasman says over there, Hivdalti Mitaycha Eda. Hivadlu, Hivadlu B'Soich Eda. Go ahead and separate yourself from the Eda. Right, and we've also Eda, and we learn the Gzer Shava Eda. What do you mean Eda? So he says, and separate yourselves from the Eda. So Hassan says, Ad Mosai LeEda Hara Azos, right, referring to by the Meraglim. There are 12 Meraglim, 2 of which Shua and Pinchas, right, the Kalev, right, Kalev and Yeshua, right. So they
always 10.
Right, so they separated from the other Meraglim. So 12 minus 2 is 10. So he says they called those 10 an Eda. So you see, an Eda is 10 people.
One more place.
So that right.
One more place is unmentioned in Sdom. You needed 10 people, and there were.
Oh, what he mentioned, what is there 10?
Yes, there 10. There were only 9.
So Malol Nasara, Afghanistan. So just like over there was 10, so over here. So therefore we learn about Toich. So it says Ha'eda is referring to 10, and therefore we learn the Gzer Shevet there to Toich amongst them. So therefore we see that Kedusha is something in Kedusha Pachas Me'asar.
But it's a double Gzer Shava.
Okay.
Because first we compare Toch,
right, and then we said,
and then Eda.
Okay. Yeah. Very nice in Maimed Moshe Pachas Me'asar. We don't say we don't do the standing and the sitting less than 10. So Kevin the boy the Meimar, Imdu Yikarim or Yamodu, I guess it changes. There was a Daled. Yeah. Yeah. Well, the first one, yeah, there's a little Daled there. Fine. So it says over there, right? Right. Amodu Yikarim, Amodu and Shubu Yikarim Shubu, right? Shavu Yikarim Shavu, right? Then so Shuvu will be returned, right? So over there means stand up, dear ones, stand up, and sit, right? Also, you cut them, right? The pressure one, dear ones, right? Sit. So therefore, it's not proper to call a group or to call them less than 10. So therefore, in order to make the statement, you should have at least 10 people. We don't say the berachas avelim, berachas chasanim. So my berachas avelim, or my berachas. So that's brachas rechava. That is the bracha, right? That's said in the rechava, right, in the open market square. Right, and the ain avalim min aminyan, and the avel is not counted to the 10. So you need 10 in order to bless them and to say, right, to those who are right. No, this is avalim. This is after the mourners, right? So everything that they had, that Kadosh Baruch Hu should bless them, right? Right, and so this is their necham.
I'm talking about Chatani.
Now berachas chasanim. Be'asara, the berachas chasanim is 10. Bechasanim min, but the chasan could be amongst the 10. In other words, berachas avelim there was not those not included. But when it comes to berachas chasanim, then the chasan, right, the groom himself can be included in the 10. The aim is amin al hamazon b'shem pachas me'asar. We don't do a zimun with a shame with saying Elokeinu less than 10. So Kevin the boy of the Maimer the berach Elokeinu. Since we want to go ahead and say Elokeinu, but Tzir Lav Arachara. It's not the proper way to go ahead to say it less than 10. So that he can be. Yeah, we didn't say it. The only time he wasn't was by Birchas Chasanim, right? Birchas Avelim. We're excluded the other. Thank you.
Is that only at the beginning? Like, it's not on general actors, like in a share house, that he can be counted.
Saying if the others at the customer.
No. Birchas Avelim was it? Right. So he's not included there. We didn't mention whether he's included in the those who say stand up and sit down. Those were that was right. Right, but I'm saying he's saying with the other matters of mourners, but we didn't mention that they were or not. So l'chara, there was 10 people doing it there. V'akakos tisha, the kohen. So he says v'akakar is 9 plus the kohen. The adam yaitz ben in the sale person is similar. So Menani Mili, where do we know this from? Samar Shmuel asar kohanim ksubim b'parsha. So when it comes to the redemption, it says the word kohen 10 times. Chad l'gufei. We want to teach us you need a kohen. Right? The idach, I take this, right? The idach havi miyut, right? Achamiyut, right? That is a miyut. In other words, we already mentioned it. So why is it Kohen? It must be it's not a Kohen, and it must be. We do it again and again and again and again. Beimir achamiyut ella l'rabos, and therefore it's a miyut achamiyut is really comes to include, not exclude, and therefore tisha Yisraelim b'chad Kohen. Therefore, each one comes to include. So therefore, we'll include others, but like not a Kohen because it's marbe. So therefore, we'll include a Yisrael 9 times. Therefore, you need 9 Yisraelim and 1 Kohen. So I understand, right? So say one is needed, the next one is a riboy, then one is a miyut, and the next one's a riboy, right? And if that's the case, it wouldn't be 1 miyut and 9 riboys. It would be 5 and 5. So why don't you should have 5 kohanim and 5 Yisrael? It's a kasha. Okay, yeah, it's a kasha. You're right. The Adam gets to the end. So Adam be kadosh, and a person can go ahead and a person can be kadosh. He's hektish. Some review the aimer dnei alai. The person says that my value is upon me. In other words, whatever my value is, I'll go ahead and donate that to the temple. The time of the Bryce, Shamin Oisa Ke'evet. The person says that my value, right, is upon me to go ahead and bring the temple. Then we evaluate him as a slave. The Eved eats because of cargos, and when a slave, right, is learned with a hekesh to the right is to land. So it says there, and you'll inherit them. So just like you inherit land, so to avadim, and therefore, just like with land, well, you need 10, 9, and a kohen. So too by an adam, you should need 9 and a kohen in order to go ahead and evaluate his, in order that he should go ahead and donate that to the temple.
Wow!
All right, we'll stop here at the Mishnah. We'll stop. This is short. It's all.
Hey.
All right, everyone have a wonderful day and stay warm.